and welcome to the channel. In today's video I wanted to just address a question that some of the newcomers seem to be asking. As soon as they arrive to the game, they're instantly looking at finding a setup for a certain car, or they feel like they're struggling because they haven't got the right setup on a car. So in this episode I wanted to cover how we actually download a setup for any specific car, and maybe some of the reasons behind why I would choose not to do this, and then some of the reasons why, if you don't know very much about tuning and setting up cars, why it can be a good idea as well. So I'm going to try and cover this video in two parts really, or maybe even in three parts. We'll first of all look at literally route one into how to get a setup and get it on your car. Route 2 would be my idea of downloading a setup, and then probably route 3 would be why I probably don't like the idea of downloading a setup, and some of the flaws really behind the whole leaderboard system in general. So let's have a little look straight away then at route 1. How the hell do I go about downloading a setup for a car? So first of all, we're in the community menu and we're going to go to time trial. Click on time trial, and I've chosen a car because it's going to be one that I'm not going to struggle to get a tune for. And we could look at Long Beach. We could change that and go to the Hockenheim ring, see what that brings up, and there's quite a few there. So let's just have a look. Suomi, right at the top of the leaderboard. He must have a really fast setup. Brilliant. Let's go ahead and download his setup. So what you're looking for is on the right hand side you can see there's the control scheme, so he's using a wheel. You can see that the setup's there, and you can see that his ghost is there. If you look right at the top of the leaderboard you can see Dan, and he hasn't got any of those symbols available. So you cannot download his setup. You cannot watch his ghost and race his ghost. And this is purely a setting within Xbox itself, where you choose to hide some of the privacy in your online settings. It isn't a glitch with the game, and it isn't anyone hacking the game in any way at all. These are just personal preferences as to whether you would like to hide your information or not. So anyway, let's choose Suomi's setup, and it has to be, the setup has to be in relation to the car that you're driving. So if, for example, you can see Expert Roman down here in his Toyota, if I choose to download his setup and I'm driving the Mercedes, his setup, although I can download it, won't be available for the car unless I choose the Toyota. So we go onto the Add Ghost section and click on there, and then we can come back across and choose Add Ghost. So we're going to add that ghost and press the A button again. So as you can see on the side here we've got Suomi's ghost, and then we go to the start menu. So once the game is loaded up, we can come down to the tuning setup, click on there, and you can see in the share section that you have received a new setup. So we can click on that, click again, and then you want to come across to create new setup. Click on there and you can click again, continue, and choose what you're going to call it. So let's call this the Suomi setup. And that's you done. Continue. And then we're going to click B to go back again. And then down in the load setup section we're going to click on there, and you can see that Suomi's setup is there for us to use. So all to do is click on that, and that's it loaded up. And you can look in his setup what is used, what his brake bounce is, what his tyre pressures are, and everything's there available for you to look at. So that's route 1 in how to download a setup. This is my route 2 into downloading a setup. So go into time trial and we'll use exactly the same one as was used in route 1. And we've already downloaded Xiaomi setup, that's going to be available for us. So let's go to, this would be my version of how I would go about downloading a setup. If it was up to me, I would first off, I'd have chosen Xiaomi setup, and then I would choose add Augusto setup. I would have a look at another one that's on here, his setup as well. So let's add another one and choose that one as well. I'll come across, push the RB button and go on to the next page, and I think you might be able to choose, no you can't choose that way, so you've got to add another ghost. So let's choose Zach's setup as well. So I've filled all my ghost slots available with new setups, and obviously I can see Augusto's setup is using a pad. So his setup's not really going to be useful for me because I'm using a wheel. So I'm going to get rid of his setup and I'm going to choose Joe's setup, the Muerto Joe. So I'm going to add his ghost as well. And looking at the other symbol that seems to be missing on B's setup, and again, this is another failing of the leaderboard situation. So here we are back again after the leaderboards have come back online again. One of the things I really hate about this game. So let's add another ghost again. But as you could see, the other one that we added down here, the tuning setup, there isn't one. This is because Bees has chosen to not adjust anything. So this is absolute default setup. And you can see just what a difference it makes. 2.5 seconds, the difference a setup makes. So that's just to give you an idea that it's not always down to a setup to give you a fast time. You can get the top 10 time without any setup changes at all. So, but it just shows you also that you can be 2.5 seconds off the pace if you don't actually change anything in your setup. That's one argument. So we're not going to download his setup either because it isn't particularly a setup. So let's take, nobody else is on this page because they're in different cars altogether. So we're going to have to click the RB button and we'll take Zach's setup. So we'll add his ghost and we'll add Joe's ghost. And right down the bottom there, we can see Key's setup as well. And you're asking me, well, why the hell are you downloading someone's setup, Jay, that's 3 seconds off the lead? Well, you don't know whether that's a good setup with someone that's not as good as you at driving that car. So his setup may be fantastic, but he's just not got the driving ability to nail the track. But his setup may be brilliant. But downloading 3 setups is better than downloading 1, because one of those setups might very well suit your driving style and the other 2 might not. So once you've loaded it up, obviously you're going to go through exactly the same process of tunes. You can see that there's 3 available, and once again you're going to go into there, select each one of these individually, download them as we did in route 1, and save them. You could choose their names, but as soon as you alter anything within each one of these, it's going to have your symbol and it's going to have your player's name alongside it, so you can make it your own. So let's just go there and we'll load Zach's setup. So we'll create a new setup and we'll call that Zach. I really did think. So I'll just do that for one of them and we'll go in and load that setup. And in my opinion, this is where there's a few issues with downloading a setup. So as you come on here, you can see that we've got automatic weather tyres selection. So depending on what has been changed, he might have well ran with hard tyres. You're not going to know that sometimes when it comes up as to what he's ran to get that time. So I would always go into the tyre compound and I would change it to soft tyres. Primarily, I think soft tyres will give you a better level of grip. One of the other things would be worth looking at is to see what steering ratio he might have. He might have used a higher steering ratio that doesn't particularly suit your style of driving. So these are just a few things that I would adjust. So steering ratio would be one. The tyre pressures, the tyre compounds would be another. If when you get in the car there is a lot of oversteer on corner entry when you're braking, you would be looking at bringing the brake bias more forward to stop the rear brakes locking. So that would be an adjustment. If the car's a bit twitchy on oversteer through the corners, you could be looking at adding more downforce to the front and rear, depending on which one you're having a problem with. And one of the other things I would look at is the differential. And if the car is struggling on the exit of a corner and you're getting lots of oversteer, I would look at increasing the angle of degree up to either 90, 80, something like that. If you have someone that drives with it down here like this, I would be definitely looking at bringing it up a little bit to around this figure, just to stop that rear end swinging out so much. Again, if the car's oversteering on corner entry, I'd just bring that down the way. And there would be a few adjustments that I would make. But I'd definitely go at downloading the maximum 3 ghosts at a time, 3 different setups. Download them all and see which one suits you best. Yeah, looking at some of the issues that I think are with downloading a ghost is you don't know what settings they've used, i.e. whether they're running ABS, whether they've run stability control, whether they've added the traction control either on low or hard or turned it off at all. So you've got no idea of any of that stuff. You've also got no idea of whether during the lap they've changed any of the brake biases. So someone could have ran, let's say for example, a 50-50 brake bias, and then as soon as they launch into the game and start their lap, they could change that bias by 4 clicks either way. So you don't always know that the tune you've downloaded is the exact tune that they've run, and you never know whether they've run with any assists. That would be just something I would look at. One of the other things that can be very annoying is if, let's say for example, just out of curiosity, let's say we want to see a setup in this car on this track. So we're looking for the Lotus 25. So as you can see straight away, all the top times are ran here using the Formula X car. And I think I could click through here as far through as page 4, or you might be very lucky to get to page 5. But this is one of my whole total gripes with this game, is how limiting the leaderboard system is on Xbox. And I would imagine there's the same problem on PlayStation 4. See, we've got to page 2 and we get this could not sync leaderboards. Well, I just don't think that's good enough for being so far into this game now, that the leaderboard system is such a failure. I would prefer to see leaderboard systems for every car in the game as you get on PC, and I would expect to see a couple more pages than 2 bloody pages, and now it won't sync at all, so that's just perfect. So when you're looking at very bespoke cars, it can be very hard to find a setup. It really can, and you'll always get the leaderboard when it actually works is for the best car in the formula. So if you're using any of the formula cars, Formula C, Formula B, it's just not going to work. If you look at the classes and you've got all these different formulas, the fastest car in the formula is always going to be at the top of the leaderboard. So again, if you're looking at the GT series and you're looking at downloading a GT3 setup, it's always going to be the GT1s that are at the top of the leaderboard, as you can see. So trying to always find a car that you want a setup for can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. In my opinion, your best bet would be to go to your friends menu and see if one of your friends has set a fast lap in that particular car. So again, it's very hard to find someone that's used that particular car. There's only 5 GT3 setups there, and just this one down the bottom. But you never know how fast that setup's going to be. Obviously, I mean, Wolf's a very fast driver anyway, so comparing Wolf with Stig down here, no offence Stig if you're watching, there is by no means any sort of comparison between Wolf and Stig when it comes to their setups. But yeah, it can prove quite difficult to download a setup for a very specific car. But that being said, it can be the only route to downloading one. So the best bet would be to try and, if you see a fast driver, click him as a friend, add him, and you might be able to just get his setup if he's sharing his setups. Again, you can see these two are using pads, so it might not be very beneficial when it comes to translating it to a wheel setup. And that's downloading setups, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please hit that subscribe button, add a comment in the description, and join me again for another video, probably on my next walkthrough. Thanks again, guys, and ciao for now.